Introducing a completely redesigned experience that you can sense. And that senses you. The new Dell Latitude laptops bring your work closer to you.
Tonight, a major double murder investigation underway at Rosewater, and our cameras there as a man's arrested. We'll cross live to the scene with the latest. How police divers stopped a dangerous driver during a chase along the Port River Expressway. Firefighters bracing tomorrow for a burst of hot weather and gusty winds, the warnings from authorities. Touching tributes as Australia's oldest person passes away in West Beach. And from Bunnings to Hammerbarn, children swarm Manupara to see the Bluey-inspired Bunnings transformation.
This is Adelaide's 9 News with Alice Monfries.
Good evening. A mother and son have been killed inside their own home in what police have described as a horrific double murder. The confronting discovery made by devastated family members this afternoon. Police working quickly and arresting a man only metres from the crime scene at Rosewater.
A man in handcuffs flanked by detectives as he's marched from this Rosewater home, accused of killing a 76-year-old woman and her 55-year-old son.
Both the deceased sustained significant injuries, but at this point in time I won't be speculating on weapons that were used.
A family member making the devastating discovery just after 1 p.m. today, finding her mother and brother dead inside their home.
That's sad. It's really sad. I think it's disgusting. I can't comprehend it all.
We're confronted with the horrific scenes that they were confronted with. At this point in time, we suspect that it occurred in the earlier hours of this morning.
Detectives descending on Rosetta Street this afternoon, collecting evidence and speaking to neighbours, including this 43-year-old man who lives directly across the road, now accused of murder.
The relationship between the suspect and the occupants of that address is unknown. It is suspected that they were known to each other, but at this stage we don't know what that relationship was.
It's unclear what sparked the altercation or how he got inside. Police seizing a metal pole as they piece together how the attack unfolded.
The motivation for it remains unclear. I expect that will unfold and evolve as we get through our investigation. Any dash cam or other footage, that's not only for events for today, but also for events that were in the days leading up to these tragic circumstances.
The suspect is right now being interviewed by major crime detectives and is expected to be charged with 2 counts of murder. A number of police remain here on scene tonight, and part of Rosetta Street will remain closed for some time as investigations continue throughout the night. Alice.
Inga Nielsen, thank you. Police divers helped to stop a wanted man during a police pursuit on the Port River Expressway. A water operations patrol happened to be in the area at the time and successfully deployed road spikes before the driver fled on foot.
A Hyundai Santa Fe sits on shredded tyres, its driver in the back of an ambulance. His passenger shaken following a 20-minute police chase.
I just saw it come in and just he ran from the car and she was terrified.
The car spotted finally slowing down on North Parade in Port Adelaide. The doors fly open, the passenger collecting herself as the driver legs it.
I think he was looking for somewhere to hide. I think if our front door was open, he would have tried to get in.
Police swarmed the scene, cornering the driver in the TAFE car park.
It's dreadful, yeah. I mean, it was only, I thought that he was only a young lad, so yeah, it's horrible.
Police wanted to pull over the SUV to check its homemade number plates. Instead, the Santa Fe did a U-turn along Hanson Road. Polair taking over, patrols backing off as the driver hit high speeds, weaving through the inner northern suburbs. The passenger in the wanted car has told me she has no idea why the driver decided to flee. He ignored her pleas to pull over until police road spikes were deployed on Tom Diver Derrick Bridge. A 35-year-old Pennington man was taken to hospital. He's expected to be charged with a number of offences, including dangerous driving to escape police pursuit, speeding and driving disqualified.
That makes me feel very unsafe, especially knowing that I drive around here late at night.
Will DeFulvio, 9 News.
South Australians are being warned to prepare for a day of extreme fire danger. Chelsea Carey, temperatures are set to soar tomorrow.
Alice, it's a dangerous combination of very hot temperatures and gusty winds that has authorities on high alert. Already today, fire crews have been busy battling a blaze in the state's lower southeast. It burnt through more than 50 hectares of scrub and grassland near Pantherway before being controlled. Now, this fire broke out and spread rapidly, and crews are bracing for even worse conditions tomorrow. Extreme fire danger prompting total fire bans to be issued in 6 SA districts, including the Mount Lofty Ranges. Residents warned to be prepared.
Should a fire start under extreme conditions, it will travel quickly, so it's important that the community have their bushfire ready plans enacted. They should be deciding tonight what are they going to do if a fire starts in their local area tomorrow.
Potentially all through the day people need to be on high alert, but it does look like everything aligns right about the time that the cool change is forecast to move through. That's when it's likely to be warmest and windiest.
Now, we are expecting this cool change to roll through Adelaide around midday, and I'll have the full weather details a little later. Alice.
Thanks, Chelsea. See you soon. And as the temperature heats up, severe sunburn cases in children are on the rise. And even the smallest amount of exposure on young skin can cause lifelong damage. SA Health issuing a reminder to South Australians, sun safety saves lives.
The Benici family take their moments in the shade seriously. Josh and Stella are learning the lessons from their mother's past.
This was really frustrating for me because I'm not somebody who actually, went to solariums, sunbathed in the summer. I don't have a job that's in the sun.
At age 33, during a routine skin check, Elvina was diagnosed with melanoma and rushed into surgery within days. 5 other moles removed as a precaution.
The first thought goes to, if I didn't detect this could have gotten a lot worse very quickly.
The Women's and Children's Hospital has had 15 severe sunburn cases present to emergency so far this summer. The patients were aged 10 to 15 years old. Severe sunburn is when the skin blisters, peels and is left open.
A lot of them have required sedation to clean the burn and then adequately dress the burn. So yes, it's very painful.
2 out of 3 Australians will be diagnosed with some form of skin cancer before the age of 70, the leading cause being prolonged sun exposure during childhood.
Every summer in the sun you get a sunburn as a child in the 90s, and so it was just those mild burns that led to this.
Although sun safety seems to be well known, this recent spike proves we all need to be vigilant, especially with the latest start to the warmer weather. And when it comes to children, the best cure is always prevention.
I think role modelling is the best thing. And so, if I'm going to encourage them to wear a hat, if I'm going to encourage them to wear a rushie, I need to be doing it as well.
April Cretan, 9 News.
A teenager has been killed in a crash at Glenroy in the state's southeast. Police say the 18-year-old lost control of his motorbike on Bullagoon Road just north of Penola. Sadly, the rider, a local man, died at the scene. It's the 6th life lost on SA roads in 2024 compared to 13 at this time last year. It's unclear tonight when residents in Adelaide's east will go to the polls, with former Premier Stephen Marshall still yet to hand in his resignation. There's now mounting speculation he's holding off over a rule he's currently bound to, limiting where he can work.
In the heart of Norwood, the Premier joining Cressida O'Hanlon, the Labor candidate hoping to win Stephen Marshall's seat.
I've spoken to a lot of people in this electorate, I've phoned a lot of people, I've spoken to people at street corner meetings and things that we've had bringing ministers out here.
Liberal MPs pounding the pavement doing letterbox drops, the campaigning now in full swing. Although the former Premier still hasn't actually quit, leaving a date for the Dunstan by-election up in the air.
His party's chosen a candidate over a week ago, he still hasn't resigned. Something else is going on here and he just hasn't told us.
Locals in the area divided.
I'm not bothered. It will happen in time and then we'll go to a poll.
I think it'd be wise to do it soon. I think people need to know what's going on, and if Stephen Marshall is resigning, then we need to get on with it.
There is speculation among MPs that Marshall is holding off resigning until mid-March. By then, it will have been 2 years since he was Premier, and under the ministerial code, he'll be free to take paid positions with companies he dealt with while in office. It follows last month revelations aired by 9 News, revealing Stephen Marshall was issued a formal "Please Explain" by the Public Sector Employment Commissioner over a board position he has with defence research group MITRE, an appointment the Dunstan MP insists was secured correctly. Today, Mr Marshall declined to answer our questions on when he plans to quit.
It's just time that they got this cleared up, and then democracy can run its course.
Ollie Haig, 9 News.
Australia's oldest person has died aged 111, passing away at her West Beach aged care home on Australia Day. In a recent interview on her birthday, she credited her long life to her active lifestyle and being content with what life gives you.
Catharina van der Linden was not only Australia's oldest person, but the oldest Dutch person in the world. Passing away on January 26, she's lived a full life, over 111 years, and recently spoke publicly on a milestone birthday.
And I think there's not, except for the sister of my mother, there's no longevity in the family.
Born in 1912 in the Netherlands before migrating to Australia in 1955 with her husband John and young family, surviving 2 world wars and 2 pandemics, Catharina's philosophy to a long life: be happy with yourself and be content with what life gives you, and of course keep moving, don't sit still.
Because you have to care for your health.
Independence, something she prided herself on.
I try to do as much as I can myself. That is my nature.
Catharina is survived by her 4 children, 10 grandchildren and 16 great-grandchildren. The South Australian Premier took to social media this morning offering his condolences. My thoughts are with the van der Linden family. When I asked about her secret for a long and happy life, she told me 2 things: regular gym sessions and regular walks.
Just to watch her mobility and also her sharpness of mind, even at that age, was an inspiration.
In her final years, Catharina lived here at this West Beach residential care home, peacefully passing away in her sleep on Australia Day, surrounded by her loving family. As per her wishes, Catharina's body has been donated to the University of Adelaide for research. A memorial service will be held in March at Centennial Park. Josephine Shannon, 9 News.
The federal government's proposal for Stage 3 tax cuts will be introduced to Parliament next week, and the signs are that it won't be an easy sell. Some economists are calling for negative gearing to be abolished as the country grapples with a housing and cost of living crisis.
Stepping up and lining up.
What could go wrong?
The Prime Minister campaigning in the crucial by-election battleground, Dunkley. But on the Green, his aim was off. Anthony Albanese hoping he's more on target when it comes to winning over voters as he fights to retain the seat of Dunkley.
There's a 6.2% margin. There's a 7% average swing against governments in by-elections. That's just called science and maths.
Confident as the federal government faces its first electoral test of its proposed changes to Stage 3 tax cuts.
To make sure that every Australian gets a tax cut, not just some. That, I think, Australians understand in their guts that that's fair.
But as for whether the PM thinks prospective first home owners have it fair when it comes to negative gearing,
what we're doing is making a difference on housing.
Providing little clarity today despite coming out strong in the past.
So is negative gearing now a good thing?
Negative gearing is a good thing.
Will you consider revisiting negative gearing policy ahead of the election?
No.
So you're completely ruling it out?
I think that was a pretty clear answer.
Will you revisit it after the
I think that was a pretty clear answer.
As Australians struggle with affordability, some economists are going as far as calling for negative gearing to be abolished, with modelling revealing the move could lead to a 5% drop in house prices.
It's not going to make an enormous difference, and it can't be the only tool that you use, but it needs to be part of a package.
We need to be very careful about big changes and big tax reform that has unintended consequences on the most vulnerable.
Claudia Vradoljak, 9 News.
Firefighters were called to King William Street just before 9 this morning for a building flooding. It's believed a sprinkler system exploded on the 2nd floor of the ANZ building, causing water to run down the walls to the ground floor below. The leak was quickly contained by crews on scene. An Aussie hardware giant has teamed up with popular kids show Bluey to bring a little of the on-screen magic into the real world. Bunnings Warehouse at Manupara has transformed into Hammer Barn, inspired by the Season 2 episode of Bluey, which has striking similarities to the real store. Kids today were treated to a range of DIY workshops and Bluey merchandise.
It's great. We love Bluey, so we were very excited when we saw it on the socials this morning and just wanted to come down and check it all out and see what was happening.
It's very exciting. We love Bluey, don't we? Love Bluey?
Yes,
yeah.
It's one of 6 stores across the country to take part and continues until the end of the month. I can think of 2 more kids at home that might love it, and also
same
at
in
yours.
my household too, absolutely, they love it.
All right, it's time for a look ahead to sport with Corey Norris, and Travis Head is having a spell.
Yeah, it has been such a huge year for him, Alice, but he'll sit out the upcoming white ball matches against the West Indies. Good evening tonight, all the latest on the Aussie squad changes. And after lighting up the MCG, why has this young debutant been dropped? And heartbreak for the Socceroos, their Asian Cup dream shattered.
Thanks, Corey. We'll see you soon. Just the start, US President Joe Biden's warning as the US strikes the Middle East. That story next. Plus, a cancer detector, how Aussie scientists are using a chemical that lights up tumours inside a patient's body. There's been a major escalation in the Middle East, with the United States launching retaliation strikes on Iranian-backed targets in Iraq and Syria. And Joe Biden is tonight warning this is just the beginning.
The United States strikes back, lighting up the night in Carey, Iraq. Secondary explosions tear through the sky, and a series of blasts on the horizon in Ayash, Syria. Simultaneous attacks aimed to take down assets of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard. More than 85 targets were hit over 30 minutes in 7 main locations, 4 in Syria, 3 in Iraq, striking command and control operations, intelligence centres, weapons facilities and bunkers. Senior US officials say they were carefully selected to avoid civilian casualties and carried out using more than 125 precision munitions delivered by multiple aircraft, including long-range B-1 bombers flown in from the US mainland.
This wasn't just a message-sending routine tonight. This was about degrading capability.
The strikes were in response to the deaths of 3 US troops killed in a drone strike in Jordan on Monday. Earlier today, Joe Biden carried out the most sombre of duties, overseeing the dignified transfer of the 3 fallen Army reservists back onto American soil, meeting with their grieving family members behind closed doors.
Every interaction that I have had with the president thus far has been very personable. He's showed so much compassion and care for us and with what we're dealing with.
In a statement following the strikes, the president said, "If you harm an American, we will respond. Our response began today. It will continue at times and places of our choosing."
While the US response is expected to come in waves, the White House has confirmed it will not strike within Iran's borders as President Biden tries to walk a tightrope between retaliation and de-escalation.
For days, Iran has denied responsibility, preempting the strikes their president had warned. "We will not start a war, but if a cruel force wants to bully us, the Islamic Republic of Iran will give a strong response." Iran may not be looking for a war, but it is ready for one. Senior US officials with this message: it began tonight, but it will not end tonight. At the White House, Alison Petrowski, 9 News.
The Federal Department of Agriculture, Fisheries and Forestry unloaded hundreds of stranded cattle last night after almost a month at sea. More than 16,000 sheep and cattle have been on board the live export ship since it first left Australia on January 5. The ship has been docked off the WA coast since Monday after it was forced to return because of conflict in the Middle East. There's hope tonight surgeons will soon be able to find and remove cancers with greater accuracy. A molecule is being tested which makes tumours glow green under infrared light.
Keyhole surgery helps patients recover quickly and avoid big scars, but relying on cameras and tiny instruments can make things harder for surgeons like Associate Professor Gavin Wright.
Problem is, we now have trouble finding tumours in the first place.
and we may have to remove larger amounts of lung than necessary to be sure that we get that cancer out.
It's a problem he and the team at St Vincent's Hospital Melbourne think they can solve. Using a molecule designed to identify proteins in a lab, they've proven they can light up and see cancers like this, glowing fluorescent green inside a patient's body.
It's not meant to replace the good judgment of the surgeon. In many cases, it's there to be able to draw their attention to something else that they may otherwise miss.
The chemical, developed by Vergent Biosciences, has to be injected into a patient's body. It's been tested more than 50 times in Australia and involved in trials at the University of Pennsylvania, with the aim of completing a larger third and final trial by the end of this year.
We noted, by accident almost, that it was lighting up other cancers that had spread to the lungs. That we had thought initially to be lung cancer, but they turned out to be breast cancer, bowel cancer, etc. So, in fact, it appears it may have a much wider application.
The TGA and other regulators will still need to approve the technique, meaning Australia is at least 2 or 3 years away from surgeons using the cancer-hunting chemical more broadly.
Once we are able to demonstrate that the molecule is safe and effective, our goal is to expand this to other tumour types, such as colorectal, breast cancer, and possibly even prostate cancer.
Mark Santomartino, 9 News.
A popular brand of ice cream is tonight being recalled. Connoisseur's 1 litre plant-based hazelnut chocolate has been found to contain milk. The contaminated batches have a best before date of October 3, 2025. Rocky, Predator and Happy Gilmore. Next, the Hollywood life of Carl Weathers, who's passed away at the age of 76. Plus, why pop sensation Taylor Swift is at the centre of a conspiracy theory.
9 News, brought to you by Australia's #1 selling vehicle, Ford Ranger.
After weeks of disruptive protests, France's farmers have decided to go home. Union leaders are calling on their peers to lift roadblocks after the Prime Minister pledged to tighten import controls and make France more self-reliant with food. Industrial action is continuing in Belgium, where they're protesting over wages and bureaucratic meddling. Carl Weathers, the American football hero turned movie star, has died aged 76. He'll be remembered for playing Rocky's rival Apollo Creed and alongside Adam Sandler in Happy Gilmore.
First enemies, but eventually friends. Rocky Balboa side by side with Apollo Creed in the film which would cement Carl Weathers' place on the big screen.
The whole world's gonna see the real Apollo Creed. Lightning fast and hard to catch. No playing, no jiving, just business.
He then traded boxing gloves for army greens. Weathers working alongside Arnold Schwarzenegger in Predator.
Good old days. Yeah, like the good old days. Then how come you passed on Libya, huh? Oh, that wasn't my style. You got no style, Dutch, you know that.
Comic relief came in the form of Adam Sandler's handless golf coach in Happy Gilmore.
Damn alligator bit my hand off. Oh, my God! Yeah, tournament down in Florida. I hooked my ball in the rough down by the lake. Damn alligator just popped up.
And more recently, the actor took on a role in the Star Wars series The Mandalorian.
Mando, I just want them off my planet.
A 50-year screen career spanning more than 75 movies and TV shows. But before all that, he was just a kid from New Orleans with a passion for football that took him all the way to the NFL as a linebacker for the Oakland Raiders.
I've led a very lucky life because I've been able to achieve a lot of my childhood dreams.
When I'm finally laid in that place, and they have on the tombstone all the things they did, we'll just have all my credits, man. That's all they care about. Yeah.
It's an impressive list, though.
It's pretty nice.
Carl Weathers' family confirmed the actor died in his sleep. We are deeply saddened. Carl was an exceptional human being who lived an extraordinary life. And from his co-star and dear friend, Sylvester Stallone.
And I'll never forget it. He was magic. And I was so fortunate to be part of his life. So, Apollo, keep pushing.
It's always such a joy to provide entertainment for people who really enjoy what you do.
In the United States, Lauren Tomasi, 9 News.
From one extreme to another, a Tesla with 2 people on board has plunged off a pier and into a freezing fjord in Oslo, Norway. The couple managed to escape sitting on the roof of the car as it sank in the icy water. Fortunately, they were rescued by a floating sauna and were able to warm up. 2 terrified tourists have run for their lives from a rampaging elephant in southern India. One stumbled and was almost trampled, but he quickly crawled off the road. It's understood the men had stopped to take photos with the animal in a national park. The Pentagon has again rejected claims that Taylor Swift was at the centre of a government plot to re-elect Joe Biden. The right-wing conspiracy theory suggests the pop star's success and relationship with NFL player Travis Kelce is all part of a plot leading to Swift endorsing the Democratic candidate at the Super Bowl. The US government has now denied the allegations twice. We are very fortunate in this country to have many young people who are already leaders in their fields of expertise. Among them, Elizabeth Yunan, who's won a rare and prestigious scholarship named in honour of another remarkable Australian, General Sir John Monash.
Meet Elizabeth Yunan, composer of modern classical music.
I find it quite remarkable that music is able to communicate with so many people from unique and diverse backgrounds, and to know that my music has spoken to someone whom I've never met is amazing to me.
It started with piano lessons at age 10 but blossomed through the extensive music program at her school, Santa Sabina College in Sydney.
The leap between playing music and composing music was entirely natural. It was such an innate desire that I felt. I thought it was much more fun than practicing my scales.
She is now one of the school's composers in residence, passing on her knowledge and love of music to a new generation.
Excellent, excellent. Don't be afraid of the last bar. Just play it with a band and go for it.
Just obviously one of the best in her field musically and in composition, of course, but to also have that person in our school passing on her love of music and her expertise to our students, we win both ways.
Elizabeth is one of 16 winners of the annual General Sir John Monash Scholarship of just 264 scholars in the Foundation's 20-year history. It's named after the noted civil engineer and First World War commander. The scholarship provides $75,000 for each year of postgraduate study and overseas relocation support.
Every year we set out to find young people who have a mixture of academic excellence but also this wonderful passion for leadership. A leadership in any field, they can be of any age and they can aspire to go to any institution in the world.
With her scholarship, Elizabeth hopes to do a 3-year doctorate at the prestigious Juilliard School in New York, bringing that extra knowledge and experience back home.
I hope to enrich the Australian musical landscape as deeply as I can, in as many avenues as I can, through education, leadership, volunteering, because the benefits of music really cannot be overstated.
Here, students from her college's symphony orchestra play one of her compositions. Elizabeth was also among a number of composers whose work featured on a Grammy Award-winning album by violinist Jennifer Coe, created in response to the pandemic. Her music will be played at the Sydney Opera House next year, a stellar moment in a young career that's already had so many. Eddie Meyer, 9 News.
Well, forget a jog around the block. We meet the Aussie on a run around the world. And today he hit the home stretch. Those details next. Plus, the Pokemon superfans hoping to play their cards right to become world champions. An Australian man's dream to become the fastest person to run from one end of the globe to the other is tonight quite a few steps closer. Tim Franklin, known as Australia's Forrest Gump, arrived in Perth today after a mammoth 19,000-kilometre journey on foot.
5 continents, 17 countries, more than 19,000 kilometres. An around-the-world trip for Aussie Tim Franklin with one catch. He's running the entire thing.
Day 1 team, Tim runs the world. Day 59 done. Gay Legends, day 338.
averaging more than a marathon a day for the past 427 days. He set off with a world record in sight. He's faced floods and snow.
Got to like 1.5 degrees. Nearly got a sweat on.
Exhaustion and hunger, illness and injury.
I got good.
But the 40-year-old's toughest test was when he found out his father was dying.
I found out that my father had a terminal illness and only had 3 months to live. I made the difficult decision to go home and say my goodbyes to him. He was my hero growing up, and my mentor. And his message of just get out and finish that damn run was the last thing he sort of told me before he passed away.
It knocked him out of world record pace, but it didn't derail his dream. In fact, it fueled the fire and Tim's infectiously positive attitude. To officially run around the world, certain kilometres need to be completed in each continent. After starting in New Zealand, he went coast to coast across the US, South America next, then Spain, through Europe, all the way to the Black Sea. A short stint in Asia before finally arriving down under, landing in Perth. It's the start of the end.
Really excited to be back here in Oz, the last stretch of my run.
7,000 kilometres to go, hundreds of thousands of dollars to raise for charity, and countless fans to meet. Next stage, the south coast of the country, then Adelaide, Melbourne, Sydney, and finally Brisbane, where his friends and family are waiting.
I really just want to give my mum a big hug, to be honest.
The end of this damn run in sight. Alex Einke, 9 News.
What an incredible effort. Well, Pokemon is one of the most beloved franchises in the world, but for some, it's very serious business. Australia's best Pokemon trainers are battling it out this weekend, vying for a chance to compete at an international level.
I want to be the very best, like no one ever was.
If you want to be the very best, this is where you've got to go.
When you get to this tournament, everyone's got the good cards. There's no one person who has better cards than others.
Australia's top Pokemon trainers are competing in the Oceania Championships across 3 categories: trading cards, video game consoles, and Pokemon Go. Pressure's on now, the camera's on you.
Yeah, of course it is. That makes it more fun, right?
Even the youngest competitors and their parents take it very seriously.
He played in Brisbane, didn't do so well. That was his first comp. And second time round, he's got the knack of it.
How's he going today?
He's going all right. He's won one and lost one.
That's okay. And how are you going, Dad?
I'm tired.
Then there's the best of the best, the ones who travel the globe on the world tour, hoping to do it for a living.
Last weekend, I was in Liverpool in UK, got second out of 1,500 players or so. So it was a pretty big win. I walked away with 7,000 USD.
The aim is to qualify for the World Championships, which are being held in Hawaii later this year. There is $2 million of prize money at stake, as well as the chance to be known as the Pokemon World Champion. Henry Brand is a former world champ who's determined to get his title back. He's that big a deal in the Pokemon community, he even has fans.
It's stressful, man, especially when you get to the end, when you need to win a match to progress further.
The championships continue tomorrow and may unearth our next superstar. It's an obsession.
Xander, is it a way of life?
Yeah.
Nathan Curry, 9 News.
Well, sports next with Corey Norris. And Corey, Travis Head is having a rest.
Yeah, he is, Alice, with all eyes on the Tour of New Zealand. He's putting his feet up for the rest of the limited overs games against the West Indies, but his absence could pave the way for a young redback to debut. And the Sixers head to Tassie with their finals hopes on the line.
Incredibly fun, remarkably functional, and effortlessly stylish. Introducing the all-new Ford Puma. A compact SUV that really packs a punch. Looking good has never been this easy. Secure yours today. The all-new Ford Puma. Effortlessly stylish.
Hello again. Travis Head's summer on home soil is over. Released from the limited over squad by selectors in order to refresh. A replacement for Head is yet to be named, but a debut could be on the cards.
The Aussie Roadshow departed Melbourne for Sydney without one of its main men. Travis Head told to take a break.
And she gone!
It's been a forgettable past week for the South Australian, a king pair at the Gabba, with those struggles following him to the shorter format.
Oh, dropped. Travis Head had so much time.
He'll sit out the final 2 one-dayers and the T20 series in order to be fit and firing for the Tour of New Zealand later this month. It presents Victorians Will Sutherland or Jake Fraser-McGurk the chance to debut at the SCG tomorrow. But they'll have a tough act to follow, after Xavier Bartlett finished with the second best figures by an Australian man in their one-day debut.
Oh, got him! It's a beauty!
It almost feels like it's not real. Yeah, I guess to contribute to a good team wins everything you want to dream of in your debuts.
But he too will be rested, with Aussie selectors calling Josh Hazlewood into the side after their 8-wicket win. Over in Adelaide, Australia's women were unstoppable in their one-day series opener.
Boulder! Full! Straight!
3 wickets from leg spinner Alana King helping dismiss South Africa for just 105, with the hosts set to cruise to victory. Trent Neese, 9 News.
Meanwhile, the Redbacks have failed on the opening day of their Shield clash with Victoria in Melbourne. The Redbacks were left reeling at 3 for 9 when Thomas Kelly was caught for 4 in the gully.
That's out! He's setting up, and Kelly just giving catching practice to Gully.
A handy 45 from Harry Nielsen and 47 from Ben Menenti took the total to 173. In reply, the Victorians are none for 71 at stumps. Well, the Adelaide 36ers have landed in Hobart as they gun for a 5th straight win against Tasmania tomorrow afternoon. They kept their slim finals hopes alive last night with a gutsy 7-point win over Sydney in front of another sellout crowd.
The resurgent 36ers have every reason to be upbeat, but en route to the Apple Isle this afternoon, they're well aware what's at stake. Once again, they had the entertainment centre rocking in a stirring comeback.
The Sixers roll to a 4th straight win.
A 31-19 final quarter, lifting the Sixers into 7th position and within reach of a finals berth.
And at the other end, DJ, able to make it happen.
We want to keep winning games and push to play in the finals.
DJ Vasiljevic at his destructive best, finishing with 20 points, while Isaac Humphries continued his red-hot form in the paint.
Humphries just muscling his way inside.
And at the defensive end of the court.
Humphries denies that one emphatically.
Finishing with 20 points and 11 rebounds.
Isaac was huge for us again tonight, and yeah, his ability to wall up and make shots difficult.
His side now has 6 wins and just 1 loss since the start of the new year.
We've been believing for a while. I think, you know, as far as tonight's game, we showed great perseverance, I felt.
Sunday, putting the icing on the cake on a Friday.
And one more for the road! Sunday Deck splashes it in!
Dylan Smith, 9 News.
The Socceroos Asian Cup campaign has ended in devastating fashion after a dramatic 2-1 loss in extra time to South Korea. It was a night of missed chances for the Aussies, who paid the ultimate price after leading until the 96th minute.
They had 1 foot in the semi-final, only to be left heartbroken and heading home.
Pure disappointment at the moment. You know, we're 1 minute away from going through.
Craig Goodwin drew first blood with a crisp volley in the first half, and deep into extra time, it looked like it was enough until a 50-50 call went against the Aussies.
Oh, penalty, says referee.
And then the comeback began.
And he powers it into the back of the net.
Sydney boy Lewis Miller the culprit, and in extra time a dog day became a nightmare for the 23-year-old when he faltered again, this time just outside the box.
Oh, Miller again, clumsy this time.
But Son Heung-min, Ange Postecoglou's golden man at Tottenham, still made him pay.
Oh, it's a brilliant goal.
I put my arm around him and give him a hug and tell him that these things are lessons in life.
A red card in the 106th minute brought Australia to 10 men, hampering their last gasp effort.
South Korea into the semis.
The Socceroos were flush with opportunities early.
Oh, what a chance.
And could have put it beyond doubt at the death.
Oh, what a chance again.
Leaving them with only themselves to blame.
The chances were there, but we just couldn't get that extra goal to give us that little bit of a buffer.
It was South Korea who Australia defeated to win the 2015 Asian Cup on home soil. 9 years later, emotions spilling over for Son Heung-min as he delivers revenge. Xander Maguire, 9 News.
With defending champion Brodie Kostecki unlikely to race for Erebus again, the supercars grid will be wide open this season. Kiwi Richie Stanaway believes he could be a top contender, returning to full-time driving for the first time in 4 years.
When I first came into the category,
a few years ago, it was quite intimidating racing the older guys that, had won 50 or 100 races and multiple championships, and you come in as the young guy. It's quite intimidating. So it's nicer to come back now and be a little bit older.
The Supercars season kicks off with the Bathurst 500 in 3 weeks. And San Francisco punter Mitch Wishnowsky is hoping to make history next Monday by becoming the first Australian to win the Super Bowl. The 31-year-old feels much more comfortable this time after coming up short at his first attempt in 2020.
It was just a lot of nerves and everything like that, and it's obviously still some nerves and stuff, but I think I've sort of learnt to deal with them a little more, and I think I'll be able to sort of take in this Super Bowl a little more than last one.
Yeah, the 49ers are the favourites to claim the title despite facing defending champions Kansas City. So good luck to Mitch. Missed out a few years ago, but hopefully this is his year.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Thanks, Corey. Well, sunny and even hotter tomorrow. Chelsea has the weather details next. First, though, a look at the Sunday speed cameras.
Wake up and laugh with Adelaide's #1 breakfast show.
Rudix and Loz, weekdays on 104.7 Triple M.
For the latest Adelaide news and traffic.
Switch on a Daikin Alira X split system with advanced streamer technology to remove more than 99% of harmful indoor air pollutants and surround yourself with cleaner air this summer. Daikin, perfecting the air.
Well, we're here at the Burnside CFS where fire crews are preparing for a day of extreme fire danger tomorrow with temperatures set to soar and winds intensifying too. We'll have a look at the warnings in just a moment. But today, well, it has been hot but still relatively calm. We made a top of almost 35 degrees in the city this afternoon. Right now, it's still sitting on 32. Hot and sunny right across Adelaide. Mawson Lakes and Elizabeth made 36. Plenty of people by the beach today. Glenelg made it 32. Temperatures soared into the 40s at Port Augusta and through the outback. Renmark hit 39 and hot and dry down in the lower southeast today where fire crews have been battling a blaze near Padthaway. Temperatures in the mid-30s. And the fire danger increases tomorrow as temperatures soar further ahead of a gusty wind change. A scorch for Melbourne tomorrow too, up to 38 degrees. Back home and the north of SA will really feel the heat tomorrow. Port Augusta and Whyalla heading for 45, 44 at Port Pirie. Very hot through the Riverland too. 44 as well for Renmark and temperatures also in the 40s around Keith, Murray Bridge and Nariurta. Now with the hot, dry and windy conditions, extreme fire danger has been declared for 6 SA districts including the Mount Lofty Ranges, prompting total fire bans. Winds picking up on the water too. Marine wind warnings in place along our coast, including for metro waters with south to southwesterly winds reaching up to 30 knots north of Brighton, seas reaching 1.5 metres. So a hot start to the day for Adelaide. The peak of the heat will be ahead of the change. Now that should move through the southern suburbs first. So Noarlunga looking at a top of 33, but the northern suburbs could see temperatures into the 40s. In the city, warm tonight, staying above 19 degrees, and tomorrow that top of 36. The wind change expected to move through the city at around lunchtime, then cooler winds behind it. So much more mild conditions on Monday, back down to around 25 degrees. And after tomorrow, really quite a pleasant week ahead. Temperatures mostly hovering in the mid-20s. Alice?
Looks pretty perfect to me. Thanks, Chelsea. And before we go, here's a look at what's coming up on 60 Minutes tomorrow night.
Thanks, Alice. Tomorrow night,
The idea of confronting that monster was unthinkable.
the Aussie actor who took on the toughest role of her life.
I know it happened.
Yeah.
I know it happened.
Yeah.
Gotcha moment.
To help police snare a predator.
One of the most remarkable things I've ever seen.
Plus,
Donald Trump, a superhero president.
he's a criminal. Can Donald Trump really make it back to the White House?
I only want to be a dictator for one day.
That's tomorrow night, after Married. Back to you, Alice.
Tara. And that's all from the 9 News team for this Saturday. I hope you can join us again tomorrow at 6. Will McDonald is back in the chair. Thanks for your company. I'm Alice Monfries. Good night.